Welcome to episode 121 of Peaceful Productivity Techniques, where we help you refocus, perform like rock stars, and double your revenue peacefully. This is Arnaud, and I'm here today with Dave Pygon. Dave is the president of Pygon One Consulting. He's the author of Win the 16 Principles and Strategies to Optimize Your Day. He has over 20 years of leadership experience, and he is also the co-host of the Win the 16th podcast. Dave, welcome to the show.
Arnaud, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So from the USA out to Europe, hello, how you doing?
Yeah, great to have you here too. So we're going to talk about leadership today, about optimizing, how to optimize our days and bring something valuable to our listeners and viewers. But before we get into that, could you maybe complete the introduction that I made for you and tell a little bit more about yourself to our listeners and viewers?
Sure. Again, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it was nice to meet you. So it's nice to have another good friend around the world, to say the least. So can't have enough. So I'm Dave Pygon. I'm the president and founder of Pygon One Consulting, and I'm blessed to have over 20 years of leadership. I've worked with wonderful people. You're only as good as the people you work with, and they made me better. So I say that right out of the gate because I really believe that as a leader, no matter what level of leadership you're in, our job is to serve them in some way, shape, or form. So I started my own company. You mentioned my book, which I'm really proud of. That just was published on Amazon here earlier in the month. Win the 16 Principles and Strategies to Optimize Your Day. And it's a belief. Mark Twain said it, and he said, write what you know. And as a first-time author, Win the 16 is something I believe in. And there's 24 hours in a day. And even if you're that person who's really super tough out there and you don't believe sleep is needed and you can get by on 4 or 5 hours, the data just says we're better when we get rest. No matter the age, 7 to 9 hours, some people more, you just need it. And that's how we came up with Win the 16, that you've got 16 days. We kind of split the difference to be your best self, mind and body.
Right.
So that was a big project. I've worked for 3 major companies in my lifetime: Automatic Data Processing, Alcon Laboratories, and Novartis. All big, wonderful places, taught me a ton. And they helped me get to who I am today and where I'm at. So hopefully that gives everyone an idea of a little bit about my background, working with big companies and then starting my own consulting firm where I get to get up every day and help people and organizations. Right. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds great, and I can feel and see that you have a lot of experience in this field. So, so you mentioned the book, you mentioned your own company. Is there a project in particular of which you're very excited about at the moment? Something that's top of mind for you that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, I am trying not to multitask.
Nice. I like that.
Because as you and I both know, the data there supports that we're just not as good. Unfortunately, I am a work in progress, and I am in a growth learning mindset for multitasking and trying to do less of that. So my 2 big projects right now, the book is very, very big right now because it's launched. We just launched it. That's taking up a tremendous amount of time. But when I do my book stuff, I'm trying to just stay book focused and just laser focused, whether it's the marketing of it, the operations piece. We're available in Europe and all these other countries, but like anything, nothing's perfect. So we're working through logistical stuff. It's been really good. But then also I am Pygon One Consulting never stops. My clients never end in terms of my commitment to them and helping them in their journey and the different things we do, whether it's leadership development, time management. And I have a program on Win the 16 that's been very popular right now, and the timing's perfect with the launch. I think the publicity with the launch has really helped. It's really spiked the interest in having me come in and talk about how do you get early successes in the day? What does that look like? I don't know what your thought is on winning your day early in the morning, but I always recommend, and I'd love to hear your thought. I tell my clients and family members and everyone I can, you try to win your day by 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning, because the day only gets more complex. More people are grabbing at your time, whether it's professionally or personally. And if you can get some of your goals and priorities done early on, or at least started, you might have a better opportunity to have what I would call a productive day,
Mm,
not just a busy day. So I'd
right.
love to know your perspective on that.
Yeah, thank you. I really liked that what you shared. That after 10 or 11, everybody wants your time, your attention, your energy, and it's more difficult to make things move forward. I agree with you, and I look at it from another angle, which is your own internal biological clock. Like we've made a study with my masterminds. We were just looking at our own behaviors through the days, and all of us noticed this drop in energy in the afternoon, and not just drop in energy, but more difficulty, like a higher difficulty to focus. And not just that, but even on myself and on several people in the mastermind, we've noticed like a higher sensitivity. And what I mean by that is a message that would come my way, a DM, an email that would come my way, which would be neutral. In the afternoon, I would interpret it as being a bad news. A bad news,
Mm.
I would interpret it as being a horrible news. A horrible news, okay, I will be just laying on the floor crying. But a good news would just be neutral. And I thought it was just me, like, okay, I guess I'm weird, but talking about it with the rest of the mastermind, they were like, no, but I have the same. So I'm all for focusing on the morning and really getting the most important thing done. And then in the afternoon, creating a nice work environment where you're still productive, but maybe on other things, maybe the more monotonous things, or maybe having more calls, So I'm 100% with you on that.
Do you have a time of the do you have a time of the day where you're more creative than other times of the day?
Yeah, for me, it's the morning or the evening, like after 6, 7 p.m. Then I have another smaller window of pure creativity. After the kids are asleep, I can, yeah, so actually it's more like 8 p.m. After the kids are asleep, I can come back here at the desk and boom, I can have like an hour and a half of pure deep work flow and ideas just flowing. What about you? Do you have a particular window or?
I am in the midst of a growth mindset and learning by the day. I didn't realize I had a creative time of the day until I started writing the book back in October of 2022.
Right,
And when I was writing Win the 16 book, I found I could write in the afternoons and in the evenings. But what I found is when I had to do the creative part of writing, I was better early on in the morning.
right.
But writing I could do at different times of the day. But when I had to be really, really creative and have different thoughts, ideas, and some different complexities, it I was better in the morning, is what I
Mm,
uncovered. And
mm,
I didn't know that.
mm. Right. Yeah. And I love the fact that you're always open to learning more about
Oh,
the world, but also about yourself and how you work creatively and in terms of productivity. So maybe tell us a little bit more about those, this Win the 16,
sure.
whatever you feel could be most useful for our listeners and viewers.
Maybe I'll give them a little bit of content. I'm a firm believer. Content drives everything. Information is great. Like, give some things that maybe people could put their arms around.
Right.
We all have choices. We all have agency if we choose to. And Win the 16, I don't know if the concepts in the book would be, I would say, groundbreaking. What I would say, though, is they're concepts that can be used in different ways for people. So I'm just going to throw a couple things out there, though.
Right.
We believe in Win the 16. You have 16 hours in your day to maximize and optimize that. And what optimization in Win the 16 is mind and body. To be our best selves, we believe, And in the book, I clearly stated routinely that you're only as good as how you feel. The world is so complex now.
Right.
Our competitors in the business world are tough, they're talented, and they're coming after us every day. If we don't have the energy at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's say we're normal business hours, 8 to 5, 8 to 4, not whatever it might be for people. If we don't have that same energy, and if our mind and body aren't there, we are vulnerable to not be as productive and as accomplished. So in the book, we talk about that and we give people ideas. We do not tell people, I do not tell anybody in that book to be like me and do what I do. I do share ideas of things I do to help. Drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning when I get out of bed,
Mhm.
taking a cold shower to be invigorated and get going,
Right.
doing my breathing and meditation, which I've just started to learn how to do that. I'm not very good. Doing gratitude. So we share ideas throughout the whole book of what people can do, and
Mhm.
we encourage them. Emulation's great, but come up with your own and fits your best schedule. For
Right.
people maybe aren't into working out, maybe a good success story for you would be a 10-minute walk at your pace to just start that process. There's data out there that first thing in the morning, a great way to start your day is to get outside for at least 10 minutes and get into the sunshine and get that energy and get the
Right.
dopamine and all that. And I'm sure this is right up your alley with your background, that we talk about that in a book. And then we get into things in the book about having a growth mindset. What's the difference between that and a fixed mindset? That
Mhm.
growth mindset of craving learning, always wanting to get better. We can get better versus the fixed mindset of I am what I am kind of
Right.
mentality.
Right. Right.
We talk about positivity in the book. We give tips on how to be how to increase their time management. What I mean by that is most people, if I offer them either $100 or I said, I can give you an hour or two your day, a lot of people would say, I'll take the additional hour or two a day. So in the book, we give some ideas, identify what I call time vampires. Who in your life is taking time away from what you need to do? And what
Mhm.
I'm saying is not eliminate them necessarily. What I'm saying is maybe you need to restructure and reframe that relationship.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe it's always a 30-minute call with that employee at work or that family member. Maybe
Mhm.
you can cut it down to 15. Maybe you can move, make him manipulate it. I guess what I do in the book is I give ideas on how can people get additional time back in their lives in
Right.
our chapter on time management.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
one last one that I loved, I want to throw out to you is we spend a whole chapter on habits.
So important. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd love your thought on that. Motivation's amazing. Motivation is great. I
Mm.
love when I have it, and I love to be inspired. I think most people do. The challenge is, I would argue, we're not always motivated 24/7, 7 days a week. That's where habits and discipline are critical. And I think that's usually where you find those people. In the United States, we do a lot of New Year's resolutions. Do you guys
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that?
No, I
Yeah.
think it's
So,
worldwide, man. But
okay. Just, just
I'm
wanted to make
nothing
sure.
because the first, I think the first episode of this show was about New Year's resolution. It was about, I think I started by saying I can't believe people are still believing in those. Like, everybody knows that, you don't follow your New Year's resolution.
Right.
So yeah, that
Exactly.
put a smile on my face here.
Yes. I just want to clarify. I want to make sure we're aligned throughout the whole interview today, podcast. That's just a great example is people have and people are wonderful. Generally speaking, people are good people. Their intentions are right. They want to do it. And they start off the first couple days or week, and maybe they make a month, but at some point that motivation goes down
Yes.
and they don't have the habits to pick it up, and then they stop with it. So we have a whole chapter on I have a
Mhm.
whole chapter that I've written on habits and giving people why we don't create them and how to create some good habits.
Mhm.
All of it is little steps. Everything in the book is about just little steps
I really like that.
that lead to big results. So
I
hopefully I gave you in the audience some feel for the book, but also a little bit of content.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that. And I really like this philosophy of small steps, because that increases the chances of people taking them 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months, and then completely include them, embody them, and include them in their day-to-day life, which leads to big changes. So speaking about habits, you give me a great segue here. What's one habit that you've been using consistently, which had a very big impact on either your productivity, your inner peace of mind, or your focus, or a combination of three, that you could share with our listeners?
Sure. I'll do one for that peaceful mind, body, and then I'll do one professionally. Is that fair? Sound good?
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. I'll start with the professional one first. I don't know if I receive this, and I call it a benefit and a competitive advantage in the professional world. My mom was always, she raised 3 boys on her own. She was always big on getting up early. She had to get to work and get out the door. I've always been that way. I don't know if I was just born with it, but I've always believed in getting things done early.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, I call it early successes in your day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been I want to say it's almost been very natural for me to do
Right.
that. I always try to get things accomplished early on. I've always been that way. It's always been in my mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In school, I wasn't the one always asking for classes at night when I was in college. I took the 8, 9, 10 o'clock classes. And in college, I was early, right? Not everybody, they wanted the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. I always wanted to get stuff done and get those things out of the way so I could get on to other things that I wanted to do. So I think that's a massive competitive advantage. I commonly hear in my consulting, I won't say a lot, but there are people that I say they kind of sleepwalk through their couple hours of their day.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, if you can win one Monday mornings, the first day back, you are at a big competitive advantage. If you break your week down to half days, you got your half day Monday, then you got your second half of Monday. That's 10 pieces of the pie. You have a great opportunity to beat the average person out there if you win Monday.
Mm-hmm.
If you tie them the rest of the week, you win. You win. And that Monday morning is a competitive advantage because a lot of people come a little grumpy to work. They're kind of plodding through instead of trying to be productive.
Right.
So that early success piece, I believe for me, is a competitive advantage for me professionally to get out and go.
I love it. I love it. So I have a follow-up question regarding that, because you wake up early, you want to have early success in the day. And based on what you were telling us earlier, that's the part of the day where you feel the most creative as well, right?
Yes.
So, so how do you decide? Because there are so many important things that one can do in this prime time of the morning where the mind is fresh, you're creative. So how do you decide the type of activities that you will, actually do in this moment?
I'll give you an example. Well, first off, if a client's got a need of some sort that I've got to take care of, it might be getting a proposal to them, but to me, sometimes these proposals and other things, there's a bit of creativity that's based in there.
Yeah.
Unless it's just, hey, send the price. Yeah, that takes seconds, right? That's easy. But a lot of times it's other stuff that we creatively have to put together. So that stuff I always try to get anytime. Like, give you an example. Right now I'm putting together a program at work for risk to help people and organizations with being a little more, I don't say risky, but taking some more risk. A lot of people are risk adverse, and I understand it's scary. We all want parachutes, but this program I'm putting together is going to help people to come up with well thought out, strategic things that can help them feel comfortable, use other people to help them in the journey of risk so they don't feel like they're so by themselves.
Mhm.
And to me, that's this creative piece. That's an early morning start. Can I
Mm.
finish it through out the day? Yes. But when I'm really driving into initial content, that's a great example of something I would like to do early.
Mm.
I can finish that during the day because
Right,
I've got my outline and now I'm just putting the filler in there.
right, right,
Um, so it really depends on the day. I would say on this creative piece, because some days mine or not every day has to be very creative for me.
right.
Some of it's just listening and communicating with clients,
Mhm.
whether it's live or virtual.
Mhm.
So that'd be the professional piece. I would say this early success that you had asked originally.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I like it as well. That's similar to what I do, really. I wake up, I do my morning routine, uh, taking some vitamin D, going outside. It used to be with my dog. Unfortunately, recently the dog passed away.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry.
yeah, thank you. Uh, that's but I still do the walks. I call them the spirit walks. This way I'm a little bit more with him
Oh,
because she passed away last week actually. But so I imagine her by my side, and she's like accompanying me to go out and take the sun, and that starts my day. And then I come back and I do just like you. I follow up with my current clients and with my prospects.
mhm.
And because I want to give them the best value that they can receive mm, over deliver to them. And I feel like in the morning I'm just in the zone for that, and the ideas pop up on, hey, what about this, what about this, and I can do the accountability with them as well. Then after that, what I do is I focus on my solo work for my business. So that might be, like reworking copy for a website, an email sequence, or giving what my team needs in order to create such collaterals. And then after that, usually it's around noon to 1 p.m. and I can relax a little bit. And then I start with the calls with clients, with prospects, and then I go into afternoon mode. So that's typically how my day goes, like Monday to, no, not Monday, because I decided to dedicate Monday to content creation. And that's why it made me smile when you were mentioning those people who are, dragging themselves to work on Monday. I love Monday, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, Monday is the most creative day of the week for me. It's like, oh, cool. I have no call. I'm focusing on myself, on my content, and I just love it.
Do you enjoy what you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
There,
course. Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's the secret.
yeah,
There's your secret sauce right there.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's
It
true.
makes a big difference. I do too. And I am lucky in this regard. I'm blessed. I wake up happy.
That's
I
good.
always have. I've always waking up. I'm always that. Hey, good morning. So non-morning people, I could be a little bit annoying to them. So I know not to
Yeah,
talk to those people in
yeah,
the morning. I know to stay away
yeah.
because I can have a good quality conversation already talking about whatever it might be. But not everybody's like that. So I feel very fortunate in that regard.
Mm,
Um, Now,
right.
I think it's a skill too. It's like anything, everything in Win the 16 is skill based. It can be worked on. Mental toughness is another one. It
Hmm.
absolutely are some people mentally tougher than others. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
With that said, it is a skill and it can be worked on if it's a focus area.
right.
And if you're good, you could be out of this world. If you're not so good, it could be an opportunity to maybe get a little better potentially.
Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. So you were mentioning another habit that you wanted to share with us,
Oh, the mind body.
right?
If it's workout day, I mean, I get up every morning and it's a habit. I get out of bed. My wife or I, we always make the bed every day, one of us. We both get up similar times. She's a school teacher. She's amazing. You love her. She's got the same attitude as you do. She's a morning person as well. And I make cold shower first thing in the morning. It invigorates me. It gets me going. It wakes me up. It makes me feel good. It gets the endorphins going. The dopamine kicks in for me. Um, I always do gratitudes in my head. I always say them, a couple things. I've been working on the breathing. So if you've got any tips, I start to work on my breathing exercises by myself, and my mind starts to drift. And I've got to rein it back in because I start thinking about the things I've got to do. So I am a work in progress in that, but I'm doing it. I'm trying to
Right.
get better at it. Also, I do 30 push-ups every day in the morning, right after my shower. Um, then from there, I'll get a cup of coffee and I'll go do my workout.
Right.
That's my mind, body, every day. And the only thing I left out initially is there's many different apparatuses to use. Nowadays, for me, the first thing I do to check my productivity and where I'm at for the day is my Whoop.
Your
It
what?
tells me how I slept. Was
Y-
I in deep sleep last night? Did I get enough deep sleep? Did I get REM sleep last night? Did I get it? So right off the bat, I start my day with seeing what kind of recovery did I get from my
Got you. Ah,
sleep.
okay, got it. Yeah.
The Whoop tells you, so Dave, you did this much sleep. This was your really good quality sleep, the REM for
Mm,
the mind, the memory. Then it gets into your deep, which is for the body. It
mm,
tells you, and then it lets you know what your strain you can put into your day because it gives you what type of recovery. So that's how
mm,
I start my day. Every day I look, and it really gives me a good idea of how hard to push
mm, mm.
that day. And I love it. It's an accountability. I'm obsessed with it. But there's many different apparatuses you can use.
Exactly. Exactly.
For
Yeah.
me, this is good for me, and I had a friend who got me hooked on this a while ago.
And that's one thing that I really appreciate about something that you said earlier when you were talking about Windows 16. You were saying that you're not telling people what to do. You're telling them what works for you, and then they get to try it, experiment on themselves, and see what works, what doesn't, and maybe get inspired to create their own routine or habit. Because I see so many dogma online, it's like, this is the way, like in the Mandalorian, this is the way where you do things, there is no way around it, this is the correct way. And what I've seen on myself and on my clients is that no, there's not one way. It's like sometimes you take a habit, you surf on it for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, and then for some reason the habit is not helpful anymore, so you switch to something else. I used to take cold showers every day, and now I haven't taken one in months, and part of me is like, hey, it would be nice to go back, but right now it's not, it's not there, so I'm not punishing myself for not taking those cold showers, right?
Oh,
And now I have other habits that I used to not do and that I'm surfing on, and the important is to keep going, and in my opinion, to be respectful of ourselves, of how we feel in our mind, in our body, because this is not a sprint, this is a marathon, right?
mm-hmm.
The whole human game is a marathon, but also the business game is a marathon. One way to beat competitors is to still be in business, a year from now, 10 years from now, when they all burn themselves out and, are no longer on the market. So, yeah, so I really like these habits that you just shared.
But the data supports forcing people to do things will give you you will get a short-term gain, but it will die off. The data
Yes.
supports another one. The data just does not support forcing people to do things
Mm.
because it will slowly go away and completely stop. I just think if people come up, I know myself, so I love hearing what you do. I love learning from you. And if you get something, I am wonderful at this. I'm sharing this to everybody in the world today. I love stealing ideas. I don't need to come up with them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said that to T, and I will give you all credit. If you've got a great idea, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. It makes sense. It's logical. I am now bought in. I'll do it. I also love hearing your idea. And I think, God, that won't work. But what would work for me is this.
Yeah.
Now I'm so much more accountable to it because
Mm.
I kind of came up with it and I've got the buy-in
Yes,
to it.
exactly, because you came up with that. Yes. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing if I could give one tip, I hate when I get to a mindset of this where, and I've got a friend, John, vice president, very successful. And it's interesting in his job, he is really paid to be a critical thinker in this regard. His job is to find why something won't work. So he has to really pick everything apart.
Mm,
And I'm so glad that he shared that with me, because at times I would go, "You're always looking for this or that." And he's like, "Hey, it's what I'm doing for a living is I'm
right.
just really trying to help." And once he shared that with me, he's been a godsend to me,
Mm,
because with the podcast, with the book, with the website, with the business, he's always like, "What about this? What about that?" And he's not
right.
picking at it in a negative way. He's
Yeah.
picking at it in a way to help me. Where I was going with this is, I just don't ever want to get into that mindset when you come up with an idea. And the first thing for me in my brain to say is, I can't do that or I won't do that.
Hmm.
I want to first go, let me process and think,
Yeah.
then come up with it. Because that's two different things.
Right. Right. No, that's a really good point. So, Dave, this book, is it who is it for? Is it for a particular segment of the population, for entrepreneurs, for professionals, or for the general public? Who would you say would benefit most to read your book?
This is one of those books that I believe it will stand the test of time because of the content of the things that we're talking about. And it is for entrepreneurs, executives, firemen, teacher, students, lawyers, plumbers, stay at home dad, stay at home mom. It is for anybody that has an interest in getting a little better, looking for some ideas how to get better, looking for time management, discipline, some inspiration, some stories. It is really for everybody. And I know that's very broad, and we are in a world of specialization. Give me
Mm,
a book on technology, give me a book on Chat GPT. But this
mm,
book really is a 2-hour read for people that I would like to get inspired, I'd like to get motivated, and I would like some tools to be my better self. And this book will give you some ideas on what parts of your life it could help. You might already have them and it will help you there, but it really is for everybody in that regard. It
okay.
really is. It's all about becoming your best self. And what I love about this book is, someone said it, I never thought about it. It's me stealing another idea. They're like, "Dave, this is a coffee table book, because this is a book you don't read just once. It's a book you might want to pick up in 3 months, 2 months, 6 months,
Right. Right.
and look at a chapter and say, I was focusing on growth mindset. I remember there was a chapter on change agility. I could get better at change agility. I'm pretty
Mhm.
good at it in parts of my life. In other parts of my life, my change agility is not good at all. I need to read that chapter.
Mhm.
That's why it is for everybody, because it has different chapters that could be different opportunities for people.
Right. Well, thank you very much for sharing about that. So,
Oh,
where can people find more about you, about your business of consulting, and about the
oh,
book?
thank you for asking. Win the 16 Principles and Strategies to Optimize Your Day is available on Amazon. We have the ebook, we have it in paperback and hard copy. Audio book will be here later in the summer.
Oh, cool.
And
Are you going to record it yourself?
I started that process and I realized if I do it, I would have to quit my job because it was taking forever and I wasn't good at it.
Right.
So
Right.
I had to make a decision. Do I get it out quicker and hire a professional, which is what we did? So I am not doing that.
Okay.
We're going to get, we've already hired a gentleman who's going to be great. I'm very impressed with him. Lucky to have Dan. I can be reached for the business end of it at pygon1.com. That's Pygon, one spelled out ONE.com. That's pygon1.com. And my email is dpygon@pygon1.com. Either way, you can find me, and I'd love to have just a conversation on any topic in terms of development, whether it's an organization or people individually. I do both. And we have a lot of fun doing it because I believe development, there is work, there's some hard moments, but it's got to be done with energy, positivity, and have some enjoyment because the journey's long. And you said it today, not me. It's a marathon.
Mm, mm. Well, thank you very much, Dave. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up this episode?
No, I would just like to say, hey, I hope you all, whatever journey you're on, continue on it. And some days are harder than others, and hang in there. And it's okay to have a bad day, mentally and physically. That's totally fine. It happens to all of us. We all do it. But I highly recommend, if you don't have a coach or an accountability buddy partner out there, find one, whether it's paid or unpaid. They're only there to help you. I find that it's another competitive advantage, whether it's in the professional world or personal world. People can really help each other, hold them accountable in a good way. I think that's just pivotal. So win the 16, everybody. It's possible. We can do it. We're all in this together.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you very much for being my guest today for the Peaceful Productivity Techniques. I wish you a continued success with the book launch and with your consulting career. And for everyone watching and listening, thank you very much for giving us your most important asset, which is your attention, your focus, and your time. And as usual, peace.
Peace right back at you. Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.